Can I take a random photo from the internet and turn it into an entire story in just 6 to 10 drawings? As a storyboard artist who has worked in the animation industry for almost 10 years, you would really hope so. By using beat boards, I'm going to try and come up with a plot to a film using as few drawings as possible. And what are beat boards, you ask? Well, beat boards are basically the step right before storyboarding, where you use a few key images to describe an important part of the story. These images usually don't work as part of a continuous sequence, and they're meant to be looked at for longer so you can fit in more detail and be a little bit more descriptive. I love beat boards because I can kind of go crazy and spend more time depicting specific iconic shots, and obviously waste my time making it look pretty. You don't need to, I just like doing it. So, time to scour the internet, looking for a perfect photo to make a meticulous, well thought out, oh, this one's cute. Okay, let's use this one. We're using this one, everybody. You're using the cat one. Okay, so we have a photo here of this cat trying to get onto a train, and this polite Japanese guy is trying to stop the cat from getting on. And I thought this would be a good photo to like build the story off of. I don't know why, I was just drawn for some reason to this photo. This could go anywhere, you know what I mean? It could, the cat could get on the train. It could not get on the train. Let's lock in here. I'm just gonna try to brainstorm some stuff. Now, time to plan. Of crappy thumbnail drawings. At this point, I decided on something a tad unhinged. I wanted to turn this cute little image into a magical girl inherited powers secret world type thing. I know what you're thinking. Why? Well, have you ever considered that it seems cool? And this cat photo was just a distraction from what I really wanted to do, which was a cool hidden magical world? You didn't, did you? You trusted me. So naturally, you need the call to adventure. I wanted the first beat to be this cool first meeting. The cat all suave and cool, and the girl the complete opposite. Entirely freaked out and thrust headfirst into this weird, wacky, magical cat world. So this would be beat 1, right? Girl meets cat, right? This is the important first meeting. Cat gets on. Cat freaks the crap out of girl. And then the next thing is the inciting thing, right? So I need to show her being thrown into this world without any time for her to think about anything. So I decided on a giant monster demon thing entering the subway. These will be our main villains in the story. No, I don't know what they want or why they came, and no one will ever figure it out either. And now for our main girl. Let's call her Zoe. And obviously, Zoe, being our main character, needs to acquire some mystic supernatural powers. Here I was struggling on figuring out exactly what to do. So, I gave myself a few options. One with the cat puking out the sword, which would naturally skew the story more comedic. However, is that the kind of story I wanted to tell? It was important for me to know what kind of story I want, and know why I'm telling that story. Okay, I'll give myself a bunch of options and just figure it out later. Good luck figuring this one out, future Daniel. Okay. So, obviously she doesn't die here, and so the next beat is her defeating the demon, basically by accident. And with that, we have concluded our Act 1. Zoe has now been thrust into a magical world, been given supernatural abilities, and has taken down her first bad guy. Act 1 of our story. And now she's like in it now. She's in this world. Where do we go from here, right? And that's what I'm most unsure about. And so begins Act 2. As with every good story, there's a nice little cooldown. So, I thought it would be nice to show her and the cat celebrating at a bar. Do not ask me how a high schooler and cat are drinking beers, I just thought it would look cool. And I also wanted to expand this world. So I added a beat of them exploring this cool new fantasy district with like potion sellers and magic shops. And I threw some school friends at her that also somehow happen to be magical girls with cats. I'll figure them out later, okay? We only have 4 more drawings, right? 4. So we have to do like maybe this like montage of them fighting and getting older. Nope. I don't know why I said this. In a regular storyboard, you would show all the fun, cool interactions between her and these new characters. And you would see a lot of charming little character moments and growing friendships. But I only have 10 drawings, so I'm sorry, for now, it will just be implied. Now for Act 3. I started with a beat of the cool, nonchalant girl saving our main character. I wanted to imply that they became friends along the way without using an extra drawing. And yes, I'll figure out all these designs later. Whoops, I think I skipped a step. I'll add one drawing of them charging in to fight the big demon army. Hopefully, this is enough to imply everything we need, that they became best friends, and now they're saving the world together. Next, the big emotional low. We gotta have some heart, some stakes, some goddamn tension in the story. So I added a beat of her cat hurt and unconscious, and her cradling him in her arms. This will depict her emotional low right before shit gets real. And next, we got the revenge beat. Her powers awakening, and basically defeating the entire army in a single attack, as her friends watch in amazement, implying she has some kind of special ability and more powerful than they all thought. And maybe her anger awakened this power deep. I don't know the lore, but something like that. And then, should we have the cat come alive, like back alive? Or should we just have like this shot, but her walking out alone? Now the hard part. Is this story sad or is it happy? Does the cat die or does it recover? So maybe at the end, it's like a fake out, like you think she's sad, and then she looks over and the cat walks up. However, I ultimately decided on saving the cat and keeping the ending brighter. Not every story needs to be sad, I opted on showing her sitting on the train alone in one shot, then the next shot having all her friends enter, including her cat, who is now fully recovered. And that concludes Act 3 and the planning stage, which obviously won't change at all. Who would ever change their minds? This here, this is perfect. And now for the most exciting step of all, scouring the internet for references. Okay, I guess let's start searching some stuff. What do we need? We just need some references, right? Obviously, we need a train, first of all. I started scouring the internet for train interiors. I found a couple of good images, some useful stuff here and there. I was really trying to find photos that captured a specific mood. I also tried to find some school outfits. Let's see. Japanese high school uniform, because that's around the age group we want to go for the kids. What's real, I don't know which one of these is real. I feel like these are like costumes. I wouldn't mind a vest. In an attempt to make this whole project hopefully feel a little bit more realistic and grounded. However, when I began searching videos of cats on Pinterest, I began uncovering something quite disturbing. What is this AI slop? Are these real? This is all AI. What the fuck has happened to Pinterest? This is crazy. This site's gone down. What the Do you guys know about this? Did you know Pinterest is infested with AI garbage? As I crept deeper into the bowels of Pinterest, the more absurd all the images got. I went further down a rabbit hole, which, quite frankly, wasted too much of my time. I started to question everything I knew. I was trapped in an endless loop of AI slop. I went back to Google as I couldn't stop myself from getting sidetracked, and I found some nice cat references. It doesn't have to be something super in-depth, but I'm glad I got a couple things. I have learned most of all that Pinterest is just kind of weird. I guess watch out for that. I don't know when that happened. I haven't been on Pinterest in like 5 years or something. Now let's figure out these characters. I mainly care about our main character, and I guess also figuring out how to draw a cat. I know, I'm deeply unprepared, but I found some good references, so hopefully it'll be enough. I started trying to draw our main hero, Zoe. However, I was really struggling to find the right design for the character I want. For some reason, the personality just didn't feel right to me. Struggling here. This isn't feeling right for me. So I tried to do something a little bit more specific rather than just a generic neutral expression to try and hopefully help me nail down the right look. Drawing her in a pose helped me a lot in figuring out how I wanted to draw her, and drawing with specificity in mind actually helped me imagine her as a real character. Eventually, I was able to get down something that I didn't totally hate, and it put me in a spot where I was comfortable locking our main character in. I studied some cats based on the photo references I found earlier. I didn't do much, I just tried to figure out a basic shorthand for a cat without taking too long to come up with a fleshed out design. I'll figure that out later, maybe. Okay, it'll probably just look like a generic cat. But that's fine, right? Okay, now for the fun part. Actually executing everything. I'm sure everything will be smooth from here on out. Alright, let's take our first thumbnail. Put it up there. Let's freaking do this. Okay, so straight from the get-go, getting her expression right proves to be a mental nightmare for me. The first image of any project sets the tone, and I have such a clear image of this first beat that I really want to try and nail. However, sometimes you have those days and it just doesn't come out the way you want it to. So, I gotta buckle down and do the good old redraw until I don't hate myself. It's also the first time I'm really figuring out our main character's design. So this will inform the next 10 drawings and the character that I'm going to be drawing for the next 2 weeks. So I really want to get it right. For some reason, the mouth shape proved to be a struggle. And even just wrapping my mind around what I feel is wrong with the drawing can also be very frustrating. So I really just have to keep drawing until I feel it looks right. Once I get something I like down, I can finally move on from her dumb face. The cat I had a pretty clear idea for, so I didn't really need to redraw it. It's also a cat, so the stakes to get it right weren't as high for me. And now let's do the actual subway. I'm pretty laissez-faire with my backgrounds. I just get the gist down, and that's usually good enough for me. As long as there's certain markers that help us tell where we are, and some storytelling props, a window for light, some posters, poles so we can tell it's a subway. Let's move on to toning this beat. This usually is the longest part of my whole process, unfortunately. I start with a gray and place the lights broadly where I want them to go. And then I fill in the characters with a flat gray tone. I was planning to keep the tone simple with just a few layers of shadow. Spoiler alert! He did not keep it simple. That was weird. Well, I'm sure it's fine. Now it's time to add those frickin' highlights, baby! Damn, highlights make it feel alive. Doesn't that just jazz you up, the highlights? Doesn't that feel good? God, it feels so good. Sorry. I'm into highlights far too much. They make me feel far too good. Now a quick blurred city in the background, a few more layers of tone to help push the values a bit, and obviously, the coup de grace, soft light everywhere. I might have a tendency to overdo this part. Also adding in noise, because it makes everything feel less, I don't know, slick? That's a gross word, but I don't really have a better term for it. Alright, first one, ready. And now we just repeat this process for the rest of the story beats. Time to put on some music and let the carefree work begin. So next one I want to do is them entering, is like the demon entering the train. So I grabbed some of my references and got to work. This beat wasn't too complex, but getting her expression in with this angle was a little tricky. And it was also the time to nail down the demon's design. I decided on this like horned darkness demon kind of thing. Just generic enough that I can draw them over and over without being stressed out. Slap some extras freaking out in the background to imply danger for everyone, and tone it all real quick. And obviously, a Dutch angle, which to be candid, I only did after a friend told me it would be cooler, which, granted, it was. Time for beat 3 and for Zoe to get her magical powers. I've chosen one of these 3, and I think the funniest one is this throwing up one. I know it's a little crazy, it's a little out there, but... Okay, so I picked the funny one. The situation was already feeling a little comedic, So I wanted to keep it going with a cheeky gag. However, I did think it would be funnier to make it feel like an actual cat throwing up instead of the more cartoony thumbnail I had before. I also decided to color code Zoe's powers as a golden yellow. This was just to make the magic feel more clear throughout the story, so you always knew when the magic was coming from her. Alright. This one's a little stupid, but third beat is done. The next beat was fairly simple as I had already set everything up. The lighting, characters, setting, and color coding. And with a quick smattering of highlights, and with Zoe defeating her first villain and saving the day, I had wrapped up Act 1 of our story. Beat 4, down. This is our Act 1 beat boards. Cat comes, sees the demon. Cat spits out sword. She kills demon. Act 1, it's done. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we start Act 2. Let's start with them drinking at the bar to celebrate their epic win against the creature. I was really excited to draw this one, as I really enjoy this kind of celebratory setting in movies I watch. While the drawing didn't take too long, toning this beat was a nightmare to get the specific ramen bar mood down. But after endless minor adjustments and a million layers, I got something I liked. This was also the beginning of the end for me trying to tone stuff simply. I kind of went off the rails after this beat. I think I'm going to skip this one. I think we cut out 6A. I don't think we need 6A. I think we should go right to 6B. I cut out the beat of them exploring the city. I felt like we didn't need it, and it didn't say anything about the plot of our story. And no, it's not just because I didn't want to draw it. Liar. Okay, I don't want to draw it. Also, we had over 10 drawings, so I needed to cut some out. Now time to make up some friends. I opted for the competent leader type, a cool, mean kind of girl, and a bubbly short one. And yes, I know, I'm just throwing tropes at a wall. But when you only have a few drawings, you need to very explicitly define personalities that can be communicated in a single image. I set it in like an after-school club room type area to imply that there are also classmates. And that beat wraps our very, very short Act 2. Listen, just pretend they bonded, okay? Please. We're starting Act 3 right now. The big fight. The big fight was a little daunting for me, as I had to define all the girls and draw a bunch of stuff all at once. There was a lot of questions to answer. Like, what color does each of the girls represent? What kind of weapons do they use? What kind of setting are they in? And are the cats helping to fight, or do they just stay back? However, at this point in the project, I began to doubt the vision and what I was outputting. As with every project I do, I have those moments of doubt and frustration. Oh, this is tough. At this rate, I'm only doing one a day. I really have to go through these. At this point, I just want to finish this. Oh my god. I hate this shit. I felt myself taking more and more breaks and delaying each story beat longer and longer. But I had to trust the process and understand that these kind of feelings happen to everyone. Easier said than done, I know, but I kept thinking about what Matt Groening said while at a panel in Annecy. That the world is filled with unfinished projects no one will ever see. Fine. So, let's try to erase the doubt and see it through to the end. So I wrapped up the big white shot, assigned each of our heroes a distinct color, and kept going. Alright, here's them facing hordes of demons. For the 8th beat, I thought it would be cool to imply that at some point, our heroes started losing. Sort of the beginning to ramp up to our emotional low point. I had the cool mean girls save Zoe, as I thought maybe it would be interesting to show a character that seemed distant at first as a self-sacrificing hero in the end. Listen, if this was a movie, you would have seen her be mean, and this moment would have made you love her, I swear. As the beat started getting more and more intense and climactic, I started adding a lot more darker shadows and started adding true black shadows on the characters and around the scenes. I thought this would help differentiate it from the softer, more glowy, more optimistic earlier beats. Time for beat 9, the emotional part. This is the beat board I took the most seriously. I really wanted to make the story and the emotions and all these characters I've been drawing truly feel real for both myself and the audience. I tried to channel some of my own feelings of loss into the expression and posing. And while she mourns, I included the rest of the party still fighting and holding on in the back, sort of isolating our main character. This was a really important drawing for me, as this is usually my favorite part of the movie, when all the stakes become real and the true emotions come out. So I'm glad I was able to get a beat like this in the project. And now, Zoe's revenge. I thought it was really important to show Zoe unleashing her full potential in a fit of rage and saving everyone. Cleaning this beat, I really wanted to show her feeling untethered, so I kind of made her hair go wild and added wind from her power affecting her clothes and stuff around her. I also decided to add her friends defeated behind her. I thought it would be good to imply that all was about to be lost until this moment. This is also the most Zoe's main color was used in a story beat. I really wanted her magic to fill up the entire screen. Okay, time for the final beat of this project. I don't think I want to just redo this first initial beat of her in the subway. I think I want to do something else and something I can show in just a single drawing. So my initial thought was maybe her in her room sad through like a window. Maybe she's like at her desk or something. Or maybe a reverse of this where we have her in the foreground and there's like a window in the back and we see the cat peeking. Let's go with this one. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Instead of going for a fake out that ended the story happy, I wanted to make it feel a little bittersweet. Showing Zoe alone and depressed, but having the cat lurking in the background. I did this to imply that the cat is fine and that they will reunite and keep fighting evil. I tried really hard to make the foreground interior of the room feel sad, while making the window with the cat feel happy and hopeful? Not sure if the feeling got across fully, but hopefully a little bit. You get it? Hopefully it feels hopeful. You get it. You guys get it. All right, I think this is a good final image. Something a little melancholic to end up on. All right, time to put this all together and see how it goes. And that's our story, all stemming from one random picture from the internet. The story of a cat finding a girl and pulling her into this dangerous and magical world. Them defeating their first evil creature and saving everyone on the train. Her and this cat celebrating together. And them finding a group of friends to call home and save the world with. Her being rescued and finding true friendship. And all of this leading up to her losing her friend and guide through this world. Defeating the evil and then returning to her ordinary life. Thank you for watching me make this story come to life. I hope you enjoyed seeing me try and struggle. I love coming up with stories regardless of the process, and I hope it inspires someone to also make a story like this. Bye!